Good evening, subscribers. First, allow me to apologize. I do, like many of you, enjoy the comforts of everyday life, the security of the familiar, the tranquility of repetition. I enjoy it as much as any bloke. But in the spirit of commemoration, whereby those events of the past, usually associated with someone's death or the end of some bloody awful struggle, are celebrated with a nice holiday, I thought we could mark this day, the 15th of May, a day sadly no longer remembered as it should be, by taking some time out of our busy lives to settle down and have a little chat. There are, of course, those who do not wish us to speak, and I suspect even now orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way. Why? Well, while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those willing to listen, the enunciation of the truth. And that truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? War, intolerance, oppression, and where once you had the freedom to think and speak as you saw fit, now you have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your cooperation and soliciting your submission. How did it happen? Who's to blame? Well, there are those who are more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But if it's the guilty you're looking for, if it's the guilty you seek, then you need only look in a mirror. I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. There were a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the better of you, and in that fear you turned to the British government and the state security services. They promised you order, they promised you freedom, and all they demanded in return was your silent and obedient consent. Well, today, my friends, I withdraw that consent, and I withdraw that obedience, and I would ask all of you listening to this, and those who have not yet listened, but to whom you will pass this message on, to stand firmly with me in order that we can bring change to the world, but first change to the United Kingdom. Today I should like to speak about the last video that I uploaded, which was called Reclamation Day, 15th of May 2013, the 800th anniversary of the giving away of the country which we call England and Ireland. I actually said that something was positioned to happen on that day, and though it may seem to be small change to most, this event did happen with the announcement in the press, the media at large, that actions were being brought against certain oil companies for supposed price fixing. Now, these accusations have been in the background for some time, so we can't say this is as new news, but there was an announcement made on the 15th, and this coincides with the rollout now for the proposed trials of accountability for all those that were involved in the price fixing within the Securities and Exchange Commission dealings, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, and also for the power fuel distribution companies within global markets. As it's controlled out of the UK, as it's controlled out of London, as it's controlled out of the Masonically controlled city of London, this is where the ground has been broken at the first stage. Now, fuel. If you go to the Facebook site, if you search under Peter of England, you will see various letters which I posted on the Facebook site yesterday, which were written originally in 2008 to companies like Texaco, Chevron, BP, Shell, Total, accusing them of what's called price gouging or price fixing. I was also in conversation with members of OPEC in Geneva, and they refused to not only comment but to answer some basic questions on what's called market transparency. I have a lot of information on this. I attempted to bring these details to the attention of the Attorney General and to mainstream media in the UK, but as you will see from the Facebook site and the blogspot, which is www.freemanlegal.blogspot.co.uk, very little came out of it. So, what's the purpose of our conversation today? The purpose of the conversation today is to show you that undoubtedly with the fuel and the overpricing and the rigging of the fuel markets globally, but more particularly let's stay at home, you have been overcharged. No doubt. The question is, how much have you been overcharged and what is your remedy? Well, Freeman Legal Services have had documentary evidence placed before them, and we know as a virtual fact that the approximate amount of overcharging brought to you has been in the order of around 80%. So what that means is if you have an average 12,000 mile a year journey distance with your car, and if the average car consumption is 30 miles to the gallon, if the average price of a gallon is around about £5 sterling, what that means in effect is that you've been overcharged in the region of £1,500 a year. And if we then say that the average lifespan of a motorist could be, say, 30 years, we will estimate that the average motorist is entitled to a refund from what's called the Seven Sisters Oil Cartel. That's the Seven Sisters Global Oil Cartel, which is companies like Esso, Standard Oil, Arco, of around about £40,000 per motorist. Now, there are two ways we are going to proceed with this. There is going to be much more better news in addition to this, but this is just the beginning of the crack in the global hegemony and the global control racket. Freeman Legal Services, on your behalf, is bringing a class action lawsuit against the oil companies as well as the British government. For you to join with that, you will need to first join our movement, which is the WeRe movement. There will be details of that on the YouTube channel, and this was one of the very first videos that I posted back in the summer of 2012. So what we have here is an ongoing circular response to our initial statement that we were going to change the face of the political landscape in the United Kingdom, England in particular, with a movement, not a political party, but a movement of change, which is in effect the free man change. So you may become a re-man as well as remaining a free man. Now what we would like you to do therefore is to send an email to info@allisone.co.uk simply saying that you would like to join, just say in the email, join the class action lawsuit. There will be a small fee from everybody required to commence this lawsuit. We estimate it at the moment to be initially in the region of around about £10, but for that the class action lawsuit will begin, and we will be in a position to begin lodging the paperwork, which not only will bring criminal proceedings against the so-called mandarins of power within the global markets, but also civil actions for damages against them personally. If you have any idea how big, if you have no idea how big the global petrochemical fuel market is, and you really should look into it, they are worth and have squirreled and squandered billions, which is all your money. So, Just to recap, please visit the Facebook site. Peter of England has posted the documents there to show that he actually was trying to bring legal action against these companies as far back as 2008. And the basic statement here is, if I knew about it, why didn't Tony Blair or Gordon Brown or Cameron or any of these other goons know about it? The answer to that is they did, and the FSA and all the regulators, including OPEC and the World Bank, have been sitting on this, hoping that it would never go off under them. Why it's actually come out now is another video and another time, but it's all part of our enlightening procedure for the trials of accountability, which are going to be coming to TV screens globally this year. Now, just to conclude, so we get this all through here, so send the email. We'd like you to join WeRe Movement. WeRe Movement is then part of Freeman Legal Services and incorporates the aspect of WeRe Bank. The legislation that we are going to be using against the board of directors of the Seven Sisters Oil Companies, as well as the electricity generating cartels, as well as the water companies, the food distribution companies, and all of those that are tacitly involved as the crony capitalists and the Eaton boys and the other sort of, should we say, white shoe boys, who are the inside track of all the handouts for civil construction projects, etc. Are two main pieces of legislation which you have had repeatedly mentioned to you to familiarize yourself with them. One is RICO 1970 out of the United States, which is the Racketeering, Influence, Corrupt Organizations Act, and also the SOCA 2005, which is called SOCA, the Serious Organized Crime and Police Act. So what we've had here is these individuals, from members of the Brown, Blair, Cameron, Clegg cabinet, right the way through to the Privy Council and the House of Windsor, involved in racketeering. Simple. They are involved in serious, organised crime. It's headquartered in the City of London. It's controlled by an extensive Masonic network, which is at this moment being unpicked and having oil poured on the knots and the restrictions that it's had and placed around global populace's necks for the last 50 to 100 years, and soon is going to be coming to an end before your very eyes. So, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Please pass this video out there and get involved in a real effort and a real meaningful way of taking back not only your sovereignty but your countries, whether you're in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, the United States, Portugal, Spain, France, or anywhere else. Freeman Legal Services has a global etiquette, a global ticket to be able to help you disenfranchise yourself from the corruption and the global adhesion contracts that have been placed around your necks like albatross, and help you to walk a little bit more lighter, a little bit more freer, and welcome you into a golden age. So thank you once again. Peter of England here. Goodbye.